Okay, and question 21 then. So, Rachel is organising a school disco. She buys 120 bags of sweets. The bags of sweets cost Rachel 30 pence each, and there is an offer of buy 2 bags, get the third free when she buys them. Rachel wants to make a 25% profit. Assuming that Rachel will sell all of the bags of sweets, how much does Rachel need to charge for each bag of sweets? Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is work out the cost that she spends. So she's going to buy 120 bags, and they're going to cost her 30 pence each, but when she buys 2 bags, she gets the third free. So in effect, the number of bags, she's only going to buy 2/3 of those bags. So I need to do 120 times by 2/3, and then in effect I'll need to times my answer by 0.3. But we'll come to that when we'll do that straight away. So I'm going to do 140 divided by 3 is going to give me 40. So the sum I'm really going to want to do is 40 times by, I've just cancelled the 3 there, times by 2 times by 3 over 10. And again, I'm going to take some shortcuts here. So I'm going to do 4 times by 2 times by 3. So that's going to be 6 times 4. £24 is what she spends on the sweets. Right, if she wants to make a 25% profit, let me just sort out in my head. So all the bags of sweets for how much does she need to sell each bag of sweets for? Okay, just trying to work out whether I could have done this slightly easier. We will stick with that. So she wants to make a 25% profit. So she wants to, in effect, make 25% more on that. So I'm going to do 24 times by, well, I'm going to do it like this. So I'm going to say if 100% of the bags cost £24 and I want to add on 25%, so I'm going to say 50 would be 12, so 25% would be £6. So she wants to make £30 in total on the 120 bags. So final step, 30 divided by 120. I'm going to change that to working in pence. So divided by 120. So 300 divided by 12, I'm going to cancel by 3 first of all, and so that's going to be the same as 100 divided by 4, which is going to be 25 pence. So she wants to sell each bag for 25 pence. Just looking at that, could I have done this a better way? Arguably I could have. Let me just have a little play. So could I have said, in effect, if she pays 30 pence each, so if she pays 60 pence, she will get 3 bags. So she's actually paying 20 pence each for the bags. If she wanted to make 25% on that, she would want to make 25 pence. Yeah, that would be much quicker. So let me just go over that again. So I'll call this method 2. So if she's paying, if we just, how much she pays for each bag. So for 60 pence, she would get 3 bags. So she is paying 60. She's paying 20 pence per bag. So if she wants to make quarter of that, she wants to make 25% profit. So 20 times by 1.25 is going to be 25. So that would have been a much quicker way of doing it. Okay, marks for that question then. If we look at, we'll mark in green for this. So the mark scheme suggests doing it my way, the first way, sorry. So they've in effect said a method mark for 80 times by 0.5 or 80 times by 30, which is kind of 80 times by 30. So that's kind of my M mark I'm going to award here. And then an M1, 25% calculated, so M1. An M1 for this step here. so M1, and then an A1 for the 25 pence. Okay, and question 22 then. So work giving your answer as a mixed number. So I'm going to split this into so 2 ways. I'll do it both ways just to check my answer. So I'm going to split it into number parts and fraction parts. So 1 plus 2 plus 1/3 plus 3/4. And that's going to give me 3 plus, if I put these both over denominators of 12, I've times the first fraction by 4 and the second fraction by 3, so that would become 9. So I'm looking at 3 plus 13 over 12, which is going to be 3 and 1/12. My method 2 then is by treating them as mixed improper fraction, converting the mixed fractions to being improper fractions. So 2 times by 3 would be 6, plus 1 would be 7, so that would be 7 over 3. Plus 1 times 4 is 4, plus 3 is, my zooming's gone out a bit there. 1 times 4, so that's 7 as well, 7 over 4. So putting them both over 12s then. So 7 times by 4 is 28, 3 times by 7 is 21. So I'm looking at 21 and 28, so 49 over 12, and that would go in fully 4 times with 1 left over, and I've just spotted that I made a mistake here. 3 plus 1 and the 1/12 would be 4. So there we go. Good job that I did it 2 ways, just to back up and confirm. So I'm looking at 4 and 1/12. Okay, and the marks come from, we'll go blue, so M1 for either, so I'll mark both, so M1 for that or that. M1 for correct common denominator, so that's my M1 there or M1 there, and then A1 for the answer. There we go. Okay, question 23. Find the highest common factor of 64 and 80. So, I mean, I can kind of do this by inspection. So they've both definitely got an 8 in common. If I go higher than that, they've both also got a 16 in common. I believe that's going to be the highest common factor. But if we look at a method for proving it, so if I broke 64 down into its prime factors, 2 and 32, which is 2 and 16, which is 2 and 8, which is 2 and 4, which is 2 and 2. So we're looking at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So 2 to the power 6. So 64 is equal to 2 to the power 6. And then if I do the same for 80, I'm going to kind of run out of space. So 80 is 2 times 40, which is 2 times 20, which is 2 times 10, which is 2 times 5. So 1, 2, 3, 4. So 80 is equal to 2 to the power 4 times by 5. So the highest common factor is going to be 2 to the power 4, which is going to be 16. Yeah, there we go. Okay, and marks for that then, we are looking at M1 for factors of 64 or 80 listed, or factor trees. So we've got M1 and then A1. Okay, question 24. Lily has a bag of 60 marbles. There are 3 different sizes of marbles. We've got small, medium and large. The pie chart shows information about the size of marbles, and we've got their weights. Work out the total weight of marbles in Lily's bag. Okay, right, so let's fill in the missing angles. I'm going to set myself up a little table. I love a little table. Small, medium and large. So we'll go angle. So the small, we've got a 90-degree angle. For the medium, we've got a 60-degree angle. So for the large, we've got 360 minus 60 minus 90. So we're going to have 210. Let's just double check that adds up to 360. It does. So we've got marbles. So if we now look at number, so if we're splitting 60 between that, 360 divided by 60, 360 divided by 60 is equal to 6. So each 6 degrees represents one marble, so that would be 10, that would be 15, and then we can either do 60 minus that, which would probably be quickest. So 60 minus 25 is going to be 45. So I'm trying to do in my head 60 minus 25. I'm being a bit slow. Yeah, 35. Right. Small marbles have a weight of 2.1. We've got to work out the total weight. So we need to do, in effect, 15 times by 2.1. So 15 times by 2.1. I'm going to treat it as no, actually, we can do 15 times by 2.1. Well, 15 times by 2 is going to be 30, and then times by 0.1 is going to be 1.5. Yeah, so total weight of small marbles is going to be 31.5. The total weight of the medium marbles is going to be 10 times by 3.5, so it's going to be 35 grams. And then the weight of the larger marbles is going to be 35 times by 4, which is going to be 140 grams. So we then just need to add up those three totals. So I need to do 140 plus 35 plus 31.5. So I'm looking at 206.5 grams. Okay, we'll go to the mark scheme. 4 marks available for this question. Let's see how they suggest. So they are suggesting M1 for small number of marbles, M1 for medium number of marbles. Medium marbles equals 10 number of large marbles. Okay, so they're actually awarding for that. Multiply marbles by the weight, so that would be for that, and then an A1 for 206.5. Okay. Right, question 25. Just having a quick scan to see how many questions we are. Okay. 29, so not far. Right. Write as an ordinary number. So my shortcut for going for small is I'm going to add 5 zeros at the front. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 3, 8. And then you can kind of see, whoops, my decimal point has moved from there to there, so it should have moved 5 spaces. 1, 2, 3, 4. So it's moved from there, so it's moved 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There we go. Write this number in standard form, so we need to do our number part and our standard form part separately. So we're treating it as pens. Let me switch to my backup pen. Oh, it's kicked in now. Let's try that again then. Right, so we're looking at the number part is going to be 2 times by 4.1, and my index part, or power part. So my number part becomes 8.2, and my power part becomes 10 to the, we add the powers, so 7. So 8.2 times 10 to the 7. Okay, we've got part C, we haven't. Right, so we are looking at B1 mark for 0.00038. Okay, and my standard form part then becomes 8.2 times 10 to the 7, an M1 for either part of that, and then an A1 for my answer. Okay, question 26. C is a point on a straight line. Construct a perpendicular bisector of point C. You must show all your construction lines. Right. So, I'm kind of struggling a little bit to do these kind of questions. So, if I take this with my snipping tool out, there we go. So I would tend to, in effect, I need to put, I don't want my ruler, I want my protractor. So I'm going to use this to kind of show my compass arms. From point C, I need to, with my compass, mark a point on A and a point on there. Then I can take my protractor off, my compass off. I make my arms slightly bigger. Size is completely up to me, and then I place my compass point on the point that I've just made on the line, and then I want to arc above and below. I could do it as one continuous one if I wanted to. Then keeping my compass arms the same width apart, I do the same from the other side. So arc and then arc, and then the final step then is to place in a straight line. So that's where I bring in my ruler, spin my ruler to vertical, and then hopefully it lines up perfectly. And then straight line joining them, and that's how I would do my perpendicular bisector of that. So that's how I would do my perpendicular bisector. Hopefully that makes sense, and I will sketch that onto the sheet. So in effect what I did was I arced here and arced here, and then from here the compass arm's the same, I arc above and below the line, and then I do the same from this point, arc above and below, and then I join up the arc lines, and then that should create a 90-degree angle. So you can kind of see that how I did it on my background here. That's my accurate version, and then that's my freehand version. Okay, question 27. We've got stem and leaf diagram. Marks for question 26. There's an M1 for equal distance arc from AB either side of C seen. So in effect, that implies that I pick up M1 for these marks. M1 for attempt at two or more intersecting arcs, so M1 for that one or that one, and then an A1 for the correct line. There we go. Okay, question 27 then. Stem and leaf diagram shows information about the number of hours the children from a class spent revising for their maths GCSE. Compare the amount of time spent revising by the boys and the amount of time spent revising by the girls. It's 2 marks, so typically we pick up 2 marks, firstly for comparing the mode, not the mode, we're going to look at the median, and then we'll look at the range, I think. So the median for this set of data, we've got, doesn't tell us the number of children, so the median, we could find the largest, smallest all the way through, or we could say that there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. So then if we've got 19 plus 1 divided by 2 is 10. So we want to find the 10th value. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So that's the 10th value for the boys. And likewise for the girls, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17 girls asked. So 17 plus 1 divided by 2 is going to be 9. We're looking for the 9th value. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So that's the 9th value. So the boys have a higher median, and I'm going to state what that it is: 21 versus 15. So that's my one statement. My second statement is going to be about the range. So if I look at the range for the boys, so the range for the boys is going to be 42 minus 2, so that's going to be 40. And then the range for the girls is going to be 34 minus 1, so that's going to be 33. So the boys also have a higher range. Boys have a higher range. And there we've got 40 versus 33. So that's my two statements. Let's have a look what the mark scheme says. One correct comparative statement, at least two correct comparative statements. So the boys had a higher value than more higher values than the girls. The higher value was higher for the boys. The median was higher for the boys. The range of times was greater for the boys. So there we go. If I go green, so we've got an A1 and then an A1 for two correct statements. Okay, 28. Oscar has designed a game. Oscar has a set of 10 cards numbered 1 to 10. A player wins if they pick a card that is a prime number. Olivia picks one card. Find the probability that Olivia wins. So the prime numbers between 1 and 10. We've got 2, 3, 4's not, 5 is, 6 isn't, 7 is, 8 isn't, 9 isn't, 10 isn't. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4 prime numbers, and then we've actually got 10 numbers. So I would go for 2/5. And then for part B, we've got Oscar will charge 50p to play a game. The prize for winning is £1. 200 people play the game. Work out an estimate for the amount of money that Oscar will make. Okay, so we would expect if he's charging £1 a game, 50p a game, we would expect him to make £100. However, he would have to pay it out to 2/5 of the people, so 200 times by 2/5, 100 divided by 5 is going to be 40, so he would have to pay out 80, so we would expect him to pay out £80. So made and then lost, so we would expect him to make 100 minus 80, we would expect him to make £20 profit. Or make £20. Okay, marks for that question then. So we are looking at M1 for identifying 4 prime numbers, and then an A1 for 4/10 or 2/5. For part B, we've got M1 for showing £100, expected number of wins, so an M1 for that, and then an A1 for the 20. Okay, and then we're looking at final question. Was it final? Final question 29. Write down the exact value of sine 30. So this is kind of whether you can remember or not. If you can't, I tend to go from the triangle. So if I wanted a 30-degree triangle, it would have been originally started with an equilateral triangle with 60, 60, 60. So that would be 2, that would be 1, that would be root 3, and we want this angle. So we want sine is equal to the opposite over the hypotenuse. So the opposite would be 1, and the hypotenuse would be 2. So we're looking at a half. So we are given various dimensions. Just trying to work out a few bits. Okay, so work out the area. So we're going to be using what we've just worked out here. So I'm not fully clear from the diagram whether this is, I'm going to assume that that's 10.4. So what I'm going to say is I want to work out this length here. If I'm trying to work out this length here, and I know this angle, this is the opposite. No, actually, I'm going to change this around slightly. I'm going to work out the height of this triangle instead. So the height of this, if I call that x instead, just because I know that I'm going to be using because I want to use sine 30. So x is going to be equal to, let's just change that around. So we've said that S is equal to O over H, so we want to work out H. So H is going to be equal to O divided by 2 divided by S. So that's going to be 6 divided by half, which is going to be 12. So I know that that height there is 12. So X is going to be equal to 12. And from there I can kind of do that. So I want the area of the triangle, work out the area of A, B, C, D. A, B, C, D. So that's the base, that's the height. Half of 12 times by 0.5. So the area of that, not sure whether I fully agree with this. That's my only issue. Okay, so I've got this height as being 12. So in theory, if I split it into two separate triangles and then added them together, I'd be looking at half of 10.4, but then I'm going to be timesing it by 2. So it is just going to be overall a half times by 10.4 times by 12. So in effect, 6 times by 10.4, which is going to be 60 plus 2.4, which is going to be 62.4. So there we go, 62.4 centimeters squared. Okay, so could have done that as two separate triangles and then added them together, but that in effect by taking 10.4 and halving it, but that works just as easily. Right, so marks for that then. Oh, I've lost my pen. There we go, and I've lost it again. So I'm going to go for it is a B1 mark for this, and then we've got it is suggesting M1 and A1 here, and then an M1 for the area of either the two triangles or treating it as a kite, and then M1 and then A1. Okay, and that is that paper finished. Hopefully that was useful. I haven't got a questions to skills version of this, But other than that, I think it's been a really nice paper from Third Space Learning. I think that's a fairly decent, nice paper. Thank you for your time. Please feel free to type any questions or comments in the chat, and I will get back to you as soon as possible.